Welcome back to Easy Moto Tim and our California Adventure series. The final leg of our California adventure is complete. We made it home safely to Florida without any mishaps. We took 6 days to ride approximately 2,500 miles from Temecula to Florida. We had a day off in Fort Davis to relax and explore. In the last video, I left the story just before the banquet on the last day of the convention. Here's a clip of the banquet room.
Harris, our membership secretary.
They give out various awards at the banquet for things like most miles ridden to the convention, most miles ridden in the last year, etc. They also recognized the winners of the Dot Robinson Road Run. Beth finished third in this year's event. Since the convention was in California, the awards resembled Oscars. Our travel days follow a pattern. Start early to take advantage of the cooler temperatures. Take a morning break, usually at a gas stop. Have a picnic lunch. Usually we stop at a rest area with picnic tables. Take an afternoon coffee break. Check into a hotel or friend's home. Shower, eat dinner, sleep, and repeat. We usually stop for gas about every 175 miles. On really warm days, we soak our wet vests. Rather than take you day by day through our return, let me point out a few highlights. On the first day, we headed for I-8. The highway climbs into the mountains and reaches about 4,000 feet. Then it descends to sea level. The temperature at the top was 89 degrees, and at the bottom it was 109 to 112 degrees. There were a couple of Motor Maids at the gas station where we stopped in Ocotillo, California. They were wearing long-sleeve shirts and half helmets. They didn't have jackets or wet vests. We met them again later in the day at a gas station. They admitted they had never ridden in such heat and were not prepared. And the next day we learned that another Motor Maid was admitted to the emergency room in Yuma with heat exhaustion. I can't overemphasize how important it is to have a wet vest, protective clothing, and plenty of water when crossing the desert in such heat. We took a day off in Fort Davis to rest and do some exploring. On the way into town, we stopped at the Prada store, which is an art project. We stayed in a rustic, restored motel, ate breakfast at the drugstore down the street. We toured the fort and rode up to the overlook in the state park. It was a nice break. We weren't physically tired, but needed the mental break and leisurely pace. On the fourth day, we encountered a hazard I think few riders have ever experienced. On I-10, west of Houston, we came upon a traffic jam. It was stop and go for a few miles. About 2/3 of the way through the jam, the odor in the air turned very foul. As we eased up, we were surrounded by animal parts that were all over the road. It wasn't a dead deer, which we've encountered before. A truck carrying scraps from a slaughterhouse to a rendering plant spilled some of its load. The pavement was very slick. We stayed in the very center of the lane, which had the best traction. If we had not been in a traffic jam, we might not have been able to keep the bikes upright through this slick mess. At the end of the jam up, we passed a couple of cars that had tangled. We speculate they skidded on the mess and crashed. After visiting friends in Houston and Mandeville, we made our final 630-mile leg in one day. About 200 miles from home, we had to put on rain gear. There were dark black clouds ahead and plenty of lightning. We used the app My Radar. It showed lots of red and yellow bands of storms ahead. We rode in and out of the rain the whole way. At one point, there was no delay between the lightning flashes and the thunder. That's when we decided to take a half-hour break at a gas station. We enjoyed a donut and a cup of coffee while we waited. We made it home just as it started to rain heavily. All in all, we had a great adventure and are looking forward to next year's Motor Maids convention in Rapid City, South Dakota.